Hello, everybody. Welcome back from lunch. I'm going to ease you back in from the lunch break with some vague, imprecise, no measurements here, some conjecture. There's not going to be any data. I've not got any hard figures to show you. I think I've got numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, but they're the only numbers that you'll see probably. The question that I'll hopefully answer is, fundamentally, the question is, why are we even here? Which is a nice philosophical, existential question. It's a simple question until you actually try and answer it. If you try and answer it rationally, you might say something along the lines of, well, people find a certain value in software, or people find it is worth it for them. You might think, okay, maybe my buyer's going to save 2 hours a week, and that means about $50 a week, and they'll be willing to spend this much to buy it. That does appear as a factor. I think that is a factor in why people buy things, but I think it's a relatively small factor in why people buy things. When you think about it, when you really think about it, we have an industry in music software, with the exception of DAWs, that should not exist. We've got so many stock plugins in every DAW, great instruments, great effects, great MIDI processors, and they are really very good, as I'm sure you know, because I'm sure you all use them. It's rare, but occasionally you find a producer who just uses the stock plugins in their DAW. And it's really nice to see that when it happens, because it's a cute little thing. Oh, great, you use all that stuff. I know that in theory I could use all that stuff, but for some reason I keep buying things. So what is it about these? You can't say they're not good enough, because they're great. I'm sure you can pick little holes in them. You say there are some limitations to this one, or this one doesn't go far enough, or this one's not quite as comprehensive, not quite as powerful, and doesn't afford you quite as many possibilities. Maybe. How about we ask the buyers why they buy plugins and don't just use their DAW stock processors? I don't think that's a good idea, because people aren't very good at telling you why they do things. If you ask buyers why they buy, you'll most likely get a rationalization. What might be better is if you ask someone who sells them. That's what I do. And that's where I think I've got my knowledge from. I've worked on a lot of launches with a lot of different plugin developers, a lot of different types of instruments as well. So you get synths, you get effects, you may get a mastering grade EQ versus an analog style compressor versus a synth versus a MIDI effect. They're all different, at least in my mind. They work very differently. And whenever I have a success, whenever I have a failure, I learn from it. And I've been doing that for a good few years. And I think I, hopefully, can tell you what's behind the buyer's motivation to get things. I used to lie awake at night thinking, one day the bottom's going to fall out of this. One day people are going to realize they don't need to buy plugins. They've got everything they need right there in their door. Why are they? And the thing that really led me to realize why was this plugin here. This is Reactor, which you probably know. Reactor could have, in my opinion, taken down the industry. You can make anything. You've got infinite possibilities. You patch components together, you can make anything you want, and there's no need to buy anything ever again in your life. But it didn't kill the industry, because thinking rationally, you've got all the power, all the possibility, all the comprehensive tools you could ever need. But it's clearly not about thinking rationally. I think Reactor's definitely got its place. Don't get me wrong, by the way. It's great, but the fact is Reactor actually found more of its use as a platform for selling things that you've made and buying things that other people have made than a place where you string together different things. Like I say, it's got its uses. When people like it, they like it. But thinking one way, it could have just ended the need for third-party plugins, but it didn't. Okay, so I've got 4 reasons that I think people buy third-party software. Number 1 is basically this one. Okay, what about we go the opposite way? We go from infinite possibilities and we go in the opposite direction to you have a tool that does a job. If you want to screw a screw in or unscrew a screw, you don't reach for your Swiss Army knife. If you want to eat your apple, because I cut apples because I'm weird, I just realized that. If I want to cut an apple, I don't reach for my Swiss Army knife. I reach for the knife. And that's a very simple thing, but it's unlikely for people to use a comprehensive tool for a very specific job. Psychologists would describe it as cognitive load. In other words, am I going to have to think a lot about what I do when I pick this thing up to achieve my goal? Or do I just use a screwdriver to job done? It's psychologically easier, and don't underestimate the effect of packaging. If something is a well-made package, there's something weird about us psychologically that just makes us like these things. Also, by the way, don't get me wrong on this one, multi-effects have their place. They're great, but you don't necessarily need a multi-effect to high-pass filter something. You know, if you want to notch out some frequencies, you're not going to go for a multi-tool, multi-effects, you're not going to go for Reactor. I think, if anything, my little theory is that most people don't even grab their EQ, they grab a dedicated filter processor, depending on what DAW they're using, how available it is. That's a little quirk of people, but I think it appears everywhere. Number 2 reason, second reason why people buy stuff, is the one I was mentioning before. It's your idealized buyer who says, this thing looks like it will save me this much money, and therefore I can invest this much money in it. Or perhaps I don't have this analog synth, so it's worth it for me to get it. It's a very value-driven thing. It's the numbers. It's what you might consider a rational actor to do when it comes to spending their money. You might consider them to think about it. But I don't think there's that much thinking happening, really. So it exists, but I think it's quite a relatively small percentage of total sales. It depends on the tool. Some things they're going to sell with that in mind. If you're, for example, if you're a composer and you're doing a soundtrack, you're composing something for like a forest soundtrack or a documentary like that, you can just pick up a contact library and save yourself loads and loads of time, loads and loads of effort, loads and loads of money by getting a contact library. Next one. This is where we get a bit more murky. If you've ever done a hobby, if you've ever had a hobby that you've done for a long time and you see the newcomers coming along to it, you'll probably notice a trend that they tend to buy all the stuff. So let's say they're cycling or going to the gym or something like that. They bought all the clothes, they bought the strange wristband that goes on there, put their phone on their arm, they bought the bottle, everything, and then you'll see them for a few weeks and they'll be done. I don't think that those people have bad intentions. I think they are thinking about things incorrectly. They've been taught and they've learned to look for what they should do. I want to take this thing up. What am I supposed to do? That's what they're asking. And music can be a hobby. I think that's the predominant usage of our industry is hobbyists. it's no different there. They look up, okay, what are the tools I'm supposed to buy, with supposed to being the key thing. They want to spend money instead of spending effort. We're probably all musicians, and we've probably all learned instruments. And we know it takes a lot of effort. And we know there's an impulse in us that says, I wonder if I could just spend and be done with that. That's in our nature. Speaking as a marketer, luckily, I don't think there's a way to target these people individually, not individually, but I don't think there's a way to target them. So I don't think anyone's really taking advantage of this too much. I think that's okay. It's something to be aware of. And I think we should encourage this, discourage this. Okay, number 4 is, I think this is the most important reason that people buy things. If you look at, one of the things I do is check out the Wayback Machine to see how the top plugin companies' websites looked 10 years ago versus how they look today. And with that, you can see, in a way, the archaeological records of how they sold things and how they learned and how they realized that this was working, this wasn't working. And all together, as they copied each other and found new things, what the results are is that you'll see the testimonials basically right at the top. Not right at the top, because you've got your actual software at the top, but as soon as you scroll down, you see a row of shining, beaming faces telling you that the thing is great. If it's a mixing plugin, you know the usual faces who are doing that. If it's a synth, you know the usual faces who are doing that. If it's mastering, similar to mixing, but you're aware of the people. Even if you don't know them, we emulate people that we admire. We copy those who we respect, but also, let's not discount the fact that people buy things because their friends have told them to. They've got a recommendation from someone. A lot of plugins that weren't necessarily pushed very hard on the marketing, but have made it around everywhere, I think that's what happened a lot of the time. They've got lots of power through word of mouth. People say we're social animals. That's probably true. I don't feel very social, but it seems that people copy each other, and this is the main reason, when it comes down to it, that people buy these things. Okay, to sum up, I think there are 4 reasons. I think you've got very specific tool usage and the psychological reasoning that you need the thing that does the thing. You've got rational reasons and monetary reasons, value-driven stuff. You've got this sort of, what am I supposed to do, looking for the answer kind of people. And finally, probably above all, you've got the people who believe they should do it because either someone that they respect or a friend of theirs told them they should do it. And I think these 4 different things overlap. Like one purchase might have a lot of number 1, a lot of number 4. Another purchase might have a lot of number 2, 4, and 1 in different amounts. I've thought of other reasons when thinking this through, but I think all of the other reasons that I've come up with are sort of elaborations of these 4 fundamental ones. But again, this is all just sort of theories, conjecture, opinions from doing this for a while. You may have completely different ones. I'm fine to hear them. If you think I'm completely off-piste, then let me know. I'm going to wrap it up here. And thanks for coming. And on to the next one.